I'm sure it's been a difficult few days for you and everyone at the club. A couple of days on from the derby, have you had a chance to analyse, and if so, have you reached any fresh conclusions and new ideas about why it went wrong?
Yeah, I think nothing but reviewing the game and looking at it. I think it's clear we didn't play well. Certainly in possession. I think out of possession defensively, I actually thought it was a strange game because there was just no goal-mouth action for either team. I mean, the XGs for both teams are incredibly low. I think it's the lowest combined XG for any game in the Premier League. So defensively okay, because we have to see it for what it is. But yeah, certainly with the ball way off what we can be, what we expect to be, and that's certainly going to be part of our focus.
There's obviously an emotional response from supporters to that game, whatever the result, but particularly when you lose. You have to be calm and level-headed, though, in your analysis, don't you?
Yeah, as I say, I think part of my job is to remain very level, because I think if you don't and you join the emotional roller coaster that football brings, I think you just create damage. You create damage to relationships, which is hugely important, and that's all through the football club. So I think the leader has to be very mindful of that, has to be very constructive in his feedback and his criticism, which of course I will endeavour to do, because I think we have to be very honest with the players, and they have to be very honest back with us, and then we have to find a way forward, and we have to find a way to get consistent results, which is what we're still searching for this season.
You've had some great days over the last 4 years here, and you've shared those with the supporters, but probably on Sunday, I think in your time that's probably been the angriest reaction there's been to a defeat because of the significance of the fixture and how it felt for them. Are you aware of the fan feeling, and do you understand it?
Yeah, of course, I understand it and expect it, but I can't get consumed by it. I think that's the key thing. I think, in a game like that, if you don't perform and you don't get a positive result, criticism is naturally going to follow. It's part of the industry that we're in. But then what you do with that, from my view, is the key thing. And as I say, I'm aware of it. It's there, but you don't absorb yourself with it. You absorb yourself with the football and what we could do better and what we need to do better, and to help the players, not anything else, to better performances on a more consistent basis.
And many of those good days, great days that you've had, because you've made it so, have been in this competition, the League Cup, over the last few years. It would have been a huge match regardless of the result against Sunderland, but what is the level of determination to get a big victory on Wednesday night?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of football, is you get another opportunity to focus on, really, and I think that's a good thing for us after Sunday. It's a difficult game. It's a great opportunity for us, though, as you say, to get to another semi-final of this competition, and then change the feeling and the mood, and then we'll have something positive to focus on. But if we think it's going to be easy, and we think it's anything other than a very, very tough game, we've played Fulham already, we know their strengths, and that this will be a good challenge for us to recover from and to see where we are mentally.
Last one from me. Could you update us on Dan Burn, please? Because that probably didn't help matters at the weekend, and it seems like quite a nasty injury that he sustained. Yeah,
it was sort of under the radar, really, in terms of reviewing the game, the importance of Dan and losing him, just for everything that he brings to the team. That was a big blow for us. I think he's been excellent in recent weeks. So yeah, it's a rib problem with some issue with his lungs. So we wish him well. It will be probably around 4 to 6 weeks.
Thank you. Keith?
Eddie, how big a blow is that for you? And I guess in that position where I think you're still missing Sven, perhaps you can update us, but you're pretty short in numbers at the back at the moment.
Yeah, the back line's an issue for us. We don't have many injuries, but we have a concentrated group of players that are out who all play the same position, and whenever you get that, you're stretched. So our back line is looking vulnerable. With Sven, we're not entirely sure when he'll return. He's made good progress, but I don't think he's ready to play yet. And then we've got Emil Kraft, Kieran Trippier still out, and their target date will sort of be around the new year, we think. I think I've missed one, but I can't think who it is.
I mean, how big an issue is that for you, given that 2 of those 4 that you've got available, and Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall coming back from pretty serious injuries to themselves, do you need to look after them, or are you going to have to just keep playing them?
I'd love to look after them, but I don't know how we can with the scale of games that we've got. So I think I'll speak to them on an individual basis and see how they are. At the moment, they're okay, they're good. The beauty of it is they're young. They're very, very good athletes. They've got great attitudes. They want to play. Of course, we need to speak to our performance team and make sure that they're fit to play. But with every team selection, you're putting people on the pitch and there's a risk of injury. But we're getting to dangerous sort of point with our defensive structure.
You said just a moment ago that you're still searching for consistency this season. How concerning is that for you, given the fact we're approaching Christmas?
Yeah, it is. I can't say anything other, because we felt we turned a corner after the international break with some good performances, not perfect, but some really good. Beating Manchester City and winning the games that we did and building some kind of momentum. And then Sunday happens and it's a bit of a setback for us, because we were hoping to eradicate that kind of performance that had similar feel to away games where we haven't been a goal threat, where we haven't worked the opposition goalkeeper, where we just haven't done enough from an attacking perspective, which is so unlike us. So that's a big concern. As I say, defensively we were okay, but the other part of our game was non-existent.
Are you worried that the intensity that I think that you were famed for in the first few years is perhaps sort of slipped away a little bit this season, and if so, do you know why?
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I think in certain games we've played a different way, mainly for the fact that it's very difficult to continually play that way every game. When you're playing every 2-3 days, it's almost impossible to play that style of football with the game schedule that we've had, especially with the same group of players. With a couple of the injuries that we've got. So we've had to protect certain players and try to minimise their running in certain moments. I mean, the way we played against Sunderland was a replica of the way we played against Everton. We won that game 4-1. So it's a big challenge for me is to look at the attacking outputs. And I think that's the area. I'd say off the ball, you look at all our pressing stats and you can go mad on statistics, but we're still up there as one of the best pressing teams in the league. But I think we've got to choose the times that we do it.
And just finally from me, your captain Bruno Guimaraes, he was quite emotional after the game, and he said it was embarrassing and the performance was a mess. He then came out on social media yesterday and said, "Look, I've had time to think about it. There's no time to blame anyone." What do you make of those comments, and do you echo what he said yesterday?
Yeah, I think Bruno's comments, he was 90% right. Initially, I don't think we were a mess. I don't think the other parts of his original comments were wrong. But we weren't a mess. We were very well organised. We just didn't deliver the performance that we wanted to. I think Bruno's very emotional, and that's part of his success. That's why he's such an outstanding player for us and leader for us. But as I say, it's making sure our messaging's right to the outside world. The second statement he put across is 100% right, and that's what we need. The mindset now is that we can't affect the past, we can only affect the future, and we need to do that together.
Thank you. Adam?
Hi, Eddie. Given Sunday's loss and also just the general inconsistency that you've talked about, is this one of the most difficult tenures of your time in charge so far?
I think every season is a challenge. Nothing's ever easy. I don't know. I always find it difficult to rank these things. It is a challenging moment for us this season. I think it was always going to be. But it's a challenge that I think you relish, and you have to find solutions, and that's always how I've looked at things. If you have problems with the team or with whatever aspect of your game, you've got to work hard to find a solution. You've got to coach the players to find a solution. You've got to help everyone connected at the training ground to stay positive and find a solution. So that's what we're going to do. I see no other way.
Is playing a cup game so soon after Sunday, especially in a cup that you appreciate so much, the perfect chance for redemption, given you can just go out and just play for the win?
Yeah, I think the magnitude of this game, the size of this game is a great thing for us, because I think we'll need no incentive like we didn't for the previous game, and that's why the performance was a little bit baffling in a sense that we didn't execute the with the ball stuff that we felt we could. But this game is, I think, a great tonic for us, but only if we approach it in the right way, only if we've recovered from Sunday and we've dealt with our emotions and we go out and use that force for the good.
Just finally for me then, you mentioned doing more with the ball. Jacob Ramsey came in the summer with the idea that he could be a creative impetus for you. How close is he to breaking into the team? What does he need to do more to do that?
Same with any player that's not playing. When they get their opportunity, they need to perform, and I've got no doubting he will with the talents he has.
Thank you. Dom?
Heidi, just on the defence, what's the situation with Jamal Lascelles?
Yeah, Jamal's just returning from a muscle problem. He's fit and training with the group.
And tomorrow, Johan available to start, or does it still feel a bit too early?
Yeah, I'll make a decision on that in consultation with everybody else and with the player. I think we need to see whether he can execute what we need him to.
Sorry, just one more if you don't mind. How's Nick? How's Nick been since Sunday?
Pope.
Nick Voltemade.
Yeah, Nick's. He's going to have to deal with that moment. That moment was a really unfortunate one for him. Obviously, he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to defend the cross that comes into the box. It's one of those things that happens on the pitch. I'm sure he'll recover fine.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Luke, Gary, and then to Jordan, please. Luke.
Hi, Eddie. Is it fair to say that the away form has been a problem now for a long time, and you keep serving up those types of performances away from home? Is that the real Achilles heel for you at the moment?
Yeah, the away form's a problem in the respect that it's not been good enough for, as you say, for a period of time where that does raise questions and problems that you need to, as I say, we need to fix. I think our goal scoring issues away from home have been a concern. We haven't looked free scoring. I mean, of course, Everton, we scored 4 and we looked really good that day, and but that's sort of been the standout game positively. The others, I don't think we've quite had the same feeling around the team in terms of goal scoring. And I think goal scoring changes everything, because then it gives you a total different confidence and feel about yourself, and it allows you to defend better. So, yeah, I think that's, again, continued issue for us that we'll have to try and fix.
I think one of the concerns for supporters and I guess the media as well is that you're talking about the front three players not firing away from home, but 2 of those are new signings, quite expensive new signings, and Anthony Gordon's form has been inconsistent now again for a prolonged period of time. Is that an area that you've got to get more out of those 3 players in particular?
Yeah, I understand the focus will be on the front three, or whoever you pick if you're not scoring goals. But I know you've heard me say it many times, but the team has to function better. Like we say, when we're conceding goals, the team has to defend better. It's not about the back line in isolation. It's the same when we're attacking it. Having reviewed the game, it was a team issue. It wasn't an individual problem. The balance of the team potentially wasn't quite right, but I'd never focus on the individual players. For me, it's about helping the players deliver their best performances.
Just finally, how do you get rid of the anger that there is at the moment within the fan base and a slight despondency?
Yeah, well, I think I can't sort of do that myself. I think that's going to be us together as a group. I understand it. All I urge the supporters to do is what they've always done since I've been here, is support the team when they're playing. We have a huge group of games to come, and we have the opportunity to still make this an amazing season. So while we're in that position where everything could still be positive, we have to attack it with all of our efforts combined.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Gary?
Morning, Eddie. Given the lack of defensive options at the moment, is there a possibility that we could see something like Jacob Murphy filling in, helping out at full-back? And are you confident that Alex can step up if needed as well, even though he's quite inexperienced?
Yeah, I think you could see any of those combinations. We're going to maybe need to be creative with the squad depending on what happens in the future. So, yeah, all players need to be available to maybe play different positions. That's something we'll look at if needed.
And just one last one from me. I know you touched on it earlier with Nick. We got a glimpse into his sort of bubbly personality last week when we got the chance to speak to him. Have you had to sort of put your arm around him and have a word with him, or any of the players, or is he just, is he a strong enough character just to get over it himself? Because he looked understandably pretty crestfallen when he left the ground the other day.
Yeah, I think that he'll deal with it in his own way. We will support him in any way that we can. I think all players play at their best when they're confident and happy. So it's part of my job and my staff's to make sure that he puts it into context and moves forward and tries to score goals.
Thank you. Jordan?
Hi, Eddie. Similar to Luke's question, but in regards to summer transfer business, with me the exception of Nick and Malik, is it fair to say you haven't felt the benefits of that yet?
Yeah, I always say with these things, sometimes players take different times to grow into their new role at the club, and you can never put a time on that. I think the players you mentioned have done really well. I think others have got to step up and grab their opportunities when they get them. I've got no doubt that they've got the ability to do that, but of course they need the right conditions to do it, and they need to feel good and happy at their new club, and I think they are. It's just a case of them growing into the team. You can look historically and you can look back at players that are playing really well in the team now who took time to adjust to the football club. I mean, I look at Joelinton's journey to the player that he is now and the time it took him and what he had to go through to grow into that. And obviously we don't want that for any of our new signings, but it's just an example that it's never a straight line for any new player.
And when you sort of look at the inconsistencies of the season, has the team gone backwards in many ways? Yeah, of course it was a difficult summer, and I said there and then, whenever you lose a player like Alex, who's one of the best strikers in the world, your team's going to suffer from that. I don't care who you bring in to replace him. That's a very difficult piece of your jigsaw to replace. Now, it's not just Alex. We're always evolving and changing because players are ageing. And then we've entered sort of a new dynamic for the team, and we're adjusting to that. And I think with that comes some bumps and some rough patches. I don't know whether backwards is the right word. I think we're changing and morphing into something else. And hopefully that something else will be very positive in the future.
Thank you. We'll go to Joe, Craig and Martin, please.
Hi, Eddie. Just on what Jordan said with the team evolving, do you think that the lack of time you've had on the training pitch with your players, considering you play midweek and at the weekend since September, do you think that's had an impact on not being able to maybe evolve as quick as you'd like?
I think it's had an impact on maybe some of the new players fully understanding and adjusting to our style, because, as you say, if you're not training, it's much harder for them to get a feel for their position and the intensity that we usually like to play at. So I think there's challenges for us. This season's been like no other in terms of fixtures. You'd have all felt that yourselves in terms of you're travelling here, there and everywhere, and you gradually build fatigue, and the players will be no different to any other group of people in that respect. And it's trying to keep the players mentally and physically fresh enough with the turnaround of games to attack each game as if it's a cup final. That's been and will continue to be a challenge. So navigating that, navigating the change in team, navigating a few injuries of late, they're all things that we have to do, but there's no excuses. We have to still get results, and we've got to figure a way to still be successful.
And just on injuries, how close is Nick Pope to a return?
I don't think he's too far away. We'll see how he is for this game and the game at the weekend.
Thank you. Craig?
Morning, Eddie. A couple of seasons ago, 2-3 years ago, you were the team everybody loved to hate, hated to love. Have you lost a little bit of that nastiness, a little bit of that naughtiness, and, for want of a better phrase, have elements of your game gone a little bit soft?
I always say to sort of response to those questions, the individuals always make the team, and we've lost some. If you look at our injury list at the moment and you look at the defenders we're missing, naturally I think your team will play a slightly different way without Sven's physicality now, without Dan, without Kieran's experience, without Jamal's physicality, without Nick's vast experience in our goal. The whole dynamic changes. Without Joelinton in midfield on Sunday, and he's always been a big presence for us in that respect. So, yeah, of course you're going to be different, but different doesn't necessarily mean worse. It's just, some of that physicality we certainly missed in the game at the weekend.
And just on some of those new signings who come in, you touched on it there, you're still waiting for them to impact. A couple of them were bought at great expense from Premier League rivals, I dare say, with the idea that they would hit the ground running and wouldn't need as big a period of adaptation. Have you been disappointed, concerned? How do you analyse the delay in their impact, if you like?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think of course, we hope with every new player that they come in straight away, they play, they make the team better, and everyone is happy. The reality is when you bring in that number of players, and I think you see it in other teams around the country and around world football, when you sort of bring in 6 players, the reality is not all 6 are going to adapt and contribute at the same rate and time. I back the players that we've signed, and I'll say that continually. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't. I think they will make a difference, but they may take a bit longer.
Martin?
Morning, Eddie. You've touched upon this already, but is there a concern over the psychological impact on Nick from what happened on Sunday?
No, I don't think so. I think if he just puts it in isolation and it's a moment, he's trying to do the right thing. His intentions are good. He's trying to help us defend set plays. He's done that really well since he's been here. He's trying to clear the ball from behind himself. It happens. Of course, there'd be little things that I'd say to him could help him in that situation again, but Malik's just behind him to head it clear if he doesn't. But you've got a split second to make that call, and that's why professional sport is so difficult.
Have you spoken to him since about it?
Not directly about the goal, but I'll sit down and have a good chat with him today and review his game and go through some things for the future. And he's a player that we're very mindful we've got a great talent on our hands, and we need to look after him and make sure that this doesn't derail him.
And how many times have you watched the Sunderland game back? And you've touched upon this again already. Do you still have full belief in these players and this team?
Yeah, 100% I have full belief. I mean, my support for the group will never waver. I believe we've got some outstanding players. We need to find... I understand all the questions being negative, but there's still a lot to be positive about, and we can't lose sight of that internally. I understand if you guys can't, but I think for us, we have to realise the opportunity we have to get to another semi-final. We're still in all the competitions. We're such a small gap away in the Premier League. So I understand the feeling and the themes, but it's for me to see a way forward. In terms of Sunderland, yeah, I watched it twice forensically, and then had to move on to Fulham because that's the beauty really of having so many games. You have to move on quickly and focus on them.
Thank you. Go to Rebecca, Lee and George, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just on the Carabao Cup, obviously we saw that it brought a tremendous amount of success for your team last season. We've all kind of seen that the impact it's had for Newcastle. I was just wondering, as we're kind of approaching the later stages of the competition, do you think that's kind of an incentive for clubs like Fulham coming into these kind of quarterfinals, semi-finals, final to kind of want to replicate that?
I think it's an incentive for everybody. I think the Carabao Cup's a great competition. I think for me it's special because it's the early season, trying to build momentum in your season, trying to win as many games as you can, trying to get that feel-good factor from winning, and then you progress quite quickly to hopefully the latter stages. And I think the semi-finals we really enjoyed last year. Of course we won them, but they're special games, they're high-pressure games, and it's about your ability to deal with the 2 games, but we did that really well. And of course the final was the final. So I think that Fulham will see it as an opportunity for them to get into that semi-final. It's a big game for them and it's a big game for us, but I think it's all about our recovery really from Sunday and making sure that we deal with that well today and then have a really positive outlook for the future.
Thank you. Lee Ryder?
Morning, Eddie. Do you see this now as a sort of critical time with where the project is? I mean, on the back of that Sunderland defeat, obviously there's a lot of anger there, but do you see it now as a critical time with the opportunity to get to a semi-final and catch up in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think every moment's a critical time, every game's a critical moment, because when you're involved with this club, I think the pressures are big. So, yeah, this is a big game for us, and then Chelsea's a big game and such a quick recovery time, and then you could go on and on. So, yeah, we've got work to do in the Premier League. We want to stay in this competition. We want to try and progress in the Champions League, and we want to do well in the FA Cup. So it ain't all bad in this moment, but obviously the next few weeks will decide a lot.
Obviously, I've got a few more questions, but I can only ask one. So
far away.
I'm going to have to go back to the derby. I mean, the biggest frustration is perhaps Sunderland seem to understand the occasion that little bit more than we did on the day. I mean, how do you respond to that? I mean, can you sort of defend that in any way?
Yeah, the players knew everything they needed to know before they stepped onto the pitch. There was no stone left unturned in terms of the importance of the game. I can assure everybody of that. Sometimes the game takes a path that maybe looks different to the reality, in a sense that people will draw perceptions from the scoreline and other things and attach emotion to it, which I totally understand, and I'd be the same. But the players knew, and the players are hurting, and the players didn't want to produce that kind of performance. None of us did. But once it happens, you can't change it. What can you do? You can only affect the future and make sure we learn from it, and when we're in that position again, we don't let it happen.
Okay, George, Kieran and Sean to finish, please. George?
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
It feels like the mentality of the squad has been questioned a lot in recent weeks, whether it's away performances, late goals. What does that sort of actually mean, and does that disturb you as head coach, and what can you do about it? Because the criticism's coming from within as well as without.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. What does it mean? Because it's a very overused phrase, mentality. I hear it a lot, but then when people sort of who use it need to understand what it is. For me, it's our preparation. For me, it's making sure when you've got a job to do at a set play and you're defending a corner, you've done the practice, but you take on the seriousness of your role and responsibility and you deliver it. That for me is mentality. Mentality is how you prepare. It's how professional you are. It's how hard you work at your game. All these things. And it's knowing your responsibilities as a teammate to deliver your best and be as consistent as you can and leave it all on the pitch. Talking off the pitch in changing rooms for me is important, but it pales to insignificance against your will to prepare and be a really good professional. For me, that's mentality. And if that's being questioned, then we need to make sure the players are aware of those or aware of my thoughts.
Thank you. Kieran?
When you looked at your previous Newcastle teams, you kind of knew what you were going to get. Is it frustrating? Maybe you don't always know what you're going to get with this one.
Well, it's a horrible feeling, yeah, because when you enter a game, as you say, you want your players to go onto the pitch and give it absolutely everything they have within their soul and their body to get a positive result. And for me, that's the only thing I ever ask a player to do. Then I back their abilities once they go onto the pitch with that mindset to deliver a really good performance. And there's been a few times this season where I've left a game unsure on that, and that, going back to George's point on mentality, that's mentality. That's knowing that you're representing yourself and your families when you enter the pitch, and your job is to do your best. And so, yeah, I think we've lost a little bit of that, and it's up to us to try and find a way to get that glue back.
Are you kind of sick of using disappointment as a motivation? Bouncing back 2 wins and bouncing back, is it getting a bit maddening?
Yeah, it's not where I want to be, and it's not where I think our work is as a staff. I think we're very consistent with what we do. We're very consistent with our work ethic, and we try to sort of build that consistency with the squad. Now, for whatever reason, it's happening, and we have to acknowledge it, and then we have to help the players. That's my big thing, is to help. No player enters the pitch not wanting to do well. Help the players deliver their best performances, and I think it's always about that.
Sean, to finish, please.
Morning, Eddie. You touched on it before, how Bruno Guimaraes gave an emotional and a frustrated interview afterwards at full time on Sunday. Was that a feeling that was shared throughout the dressing room, and if so, how difficult is it going to be for you to pick them up today and tomorrow ahead of what's a huge game in terms of your season?
Yeah, I think that was shared all through, not just with the players but with the staff as well. I think there was a feeling of frustration and loads of different emotions. Anger, blame, the usual things when you don't deliver what you want to do. But as I said earlier, the key thing is harnessing that in the right way. And from my perspective, not being too emotional where I make mistakes and I damage relationships. So it's about putting it in the right form. And then, as I said a second ago, helping the players recover.
Just in terms of Jacob Murphy, I think he's the only one of the 4 wingers who hasn't started any of the last 3 games. What does he need to do to get back in the team? And I guess what was the thinking behind Anthony Elanga getting the nod ahead of him on Sunday in such a big game?
Jacob's had a knee problem we've been managing, so he's not been 100% fit.